Hi everyone, my name is Gus. I am the team leader of Team Alpha, here presenting the Commander Kuma prototype project. Our game is a platformer 3D game where the main sort of mechanic system is that the player is able to take pictures of iconic locations and use these for their travel guide back home. Sadly, the travel guide system mechanic has not been able to be implemented due to time constraints and workflow related issues, so many apologies for that. That being said, we believe that each world has something to offer, and we hope that you enjoy this demo showcase. Yeah, there we go. First, starting off will be Callum with the Den, followed by Charlie and Daine by World 1, and then by Matt and myself for World 2. Enjoy.
So this is the den, which serves as the hub for the game, where you can transfer in between different levels. So here is the tunnel that leads towards the actual den itself. Outside is just a little building that was built by Kuma to serve as an entrance to the cave to protect him from the outside. And as you walk outside, you are greeted by there's a rocket just ahead, and if you look to the left, there is a cave. So the rocket straight ahead is going to serve as a photograph point. You can climb to the top and take a photograph of the area, which can go into your scrapbook. The rocket also provides an explanation of how Kuma managed to get to this crater in the first place as he crashed in a rocket. If you head to your left, you can go through this cave and you can see the entrance to level 1, and further down there'll be entrance to level 2. Here is where, after completing the little mission inside of the den, you will be sent over to here and unlock this area, which will teleport you to the first level. And then, once you're finished in that first level, you'll be able to come back here and interact around the den, and this is how you'll be transferring from level to level, and having this way, be having those little in-between moments between gameplay, and be able to rest and relax. That's what this area kind of serves its purpose as.
You are now watching the walkthrough for World 1, The Enchanted Forest, created by Daine and Charlie. After a loading screen, the player ends up here, at the entrance to the Enchanted Forest. We wanted this area to be as simple as possible, this being a tutorial level. So we just have some trees in a clearing here, creating a clear path up to these rocks, which will be the first platforming challenge of this level. We wanted these platforms here to be traversable with just the single jump and not the double jump, to really ease players in to how the game is supposed to be played. They come up here, and just on this lip here, this is the first location for a photo. We have not implemented it due to this being just a prototype, but if we had, the player would click a button to open up their camera and take a picture of this little area here, and that would be the first photo to go in their photo guide. Come up here. These are also just traversable with the single jump. And we have created this little path here for the player to come down. Now this area, this is the first challenge of the second area, and we in development we labelled this area the leaps of faith. This is meant to show the player that there is no fall damage within this level at least, so they can just jump down here, and there are actually two paths. They can come straight up onto this here and do a big leap of faith to come down over the tree onto here, or they could come around here and come all the way down here, and we'll come all the way down here just to show you what we've done in this area. This Enchanted Forest area, we really wanted it to feel like you're going up and down, and that we wanted the level to have this sort of wave-like structure in both architecture and in feeling. So there's a lot of descent and ascent in this level. So here we've got some more of the lovely foliage that Daine set out. And here again, this platforming challenge should be able to be done with minimal double jumps, but this is where we're slowly introducing the double jumps, and this is the test portion of what would be our Kishu Tenketsu like tutorialization for the jumping mechanics within this level. It'll come up here. As you can see, this is just some more slow and considered platforming in comparison to the very easy and simple platforming that the player has done thus far. And we've contextualized all this by it being in the trees. And this level aesthetically is really about, climbing through the trees and feeling wild and free like the bear that Kuma is. This forest area was created to give Kuma a place that he is familiar with to start off the game and ease him into the sort of strange alien intergalactic planets that he will visit earlier. This is a planet that is more accustomed to Kuma. He understands the architecture a bit more. So as we jump over here, we're going to see something quite cool. This level actually has a dynamic time system, so the sun will actually slowly set as the player completes the level. So if we come over here, now it has become dusk. And as you can see, we'll just point this out here, you can tell that this is an alien planet due to the fact that its atmosphere is actually made up of this almost water-like structure. So it is a forest that looks very similar to our own world, but it's got this sort of alien-like quality. So this area, this is sort of the bulk of the second area. This is the windy valley, and as you can see, we've got these simulated rope bridges that sway in the wind and will also react to the players climbing on top of them. But first, let's actually go over here. We'll see some of this actually very cool decoration and set dressing that is here. And we've actually got two paths for this area of the level. We've got the high-flying rope bridge section, or if you don't really want to do that, maybe you're a younger player or a less skilled player, you can come over here and look at this beautiful waterfall that has simulated physics and this dynamic water system here that was created just for this level. And then you could come up here on this easier path if you're not feeling the rope bridges. But actually, and this area is not just a diversion, as this waterfall is actually the target of the second photo opportunity for this level. So the player would pull out their camera, take a nice big picture of this waterfall falling with this lovely blue light, and then they would go up here, or if they decided to take the rope bridge section, the photo opportunity would actually be on this platform that we can see just above the player's head here. So we've decided to go up the rope bridge path, and we just come up these spiraling staircases, and as you can see, if we jump, there is a reaction to Kuma's movement from the rope bridge. So that is a simulated thing within Unreal that we implemented for this level. We come up here, some more slightly harder platforms that are slightly further apart than the player is used to up until this point. And we have another rope bridge here that shakes and sways and threatens to push the player off. So we're adding some tension in this second area that will only ramp up towards the end of the level. And another smaller rope bridge here, and we get back to halfway up this easier path. So we actually just come over here, and we use the terrain to our advantage to get up the side of this, what seems like a cliff face in this very steep valley. So the player comes up here, and wow, we found this big clearing and an even deeper valley with these husked out trees that we can cross over and get to the final area. But first, let's appreciate some of this set dressing. More uses of the dynamic water system and some beautiful alien-looking rocks to really remind the player that despite being a forest and quite Earth-like, this is an alien planet after all. And these alien rocks, they're not just for show, these are actually the third target for a photo. So this is where the player would pull out their camera and take a nice photo of these three rocks in the water. So we jump over here. These, as you can see, are big leaps of faith. If the player gets down here, there is a quick route up, but obviously it would frustrate any player. So this is sort of testing what the player has come to know thus far. And actually, as you can see here, I've had to turn down the graphical settings, so it's not too pronounced, but we've actually just come past sunset and it is now nighttime within the world. Perhaps actually, let me change the graphic settings real quick to just give you an idea of what it looks like, and then we'll go back to the level. So the performance is very bad recording and playing this on my computer right now, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the very cool lighting work that we have done for this section of the level. You've got this path of lamps coming up that really draws the player up towards this castle, and the castle is almost silhouetted against this purple night sky. And this big purple planet that you can see at the top here, that will actually be the player's final photo target. At the top of the castle, they will have to take a photo of this big planet, and that's sort of the big climax of the photo sections for this level, and really sort of introduces the player to sort of the wondrous alien things that they will see throughout their intergalactic travels in this game. Let me switch back to the medium graphics mode so we can actually show you this at an acceptable frame rate. Okay, we're back playing at an acceptable frame rate. So, as I said, this nice long path that comes along here and draws the player over to the castle wall. But also, we also have these beautiful houses. All of these are assets that we got from the Unreal store. We just needed some castle-looking stuff for this final area, so we got a pack and decided to use it to the best of our ability to really fill out this area and make it feel quite alive and lived in. We've got these lovely warm red lights over these houses that, again, draw the player over. And there's not much to do here, but it does look nice, and it really sells this idea that Kuma is coming to these planets and interacting with civilizations that he's never seen before, never talked to before, and that's really the vibe that me and Daine wanted to get across. Daine was really the head of this sort of environmental storytelling and environmental detail design within our level, and I think he did an incredible job. So the player comes through here to the castle, and this is sort of meant to be an abandoned castle, so we won't actually be going in. As you can see, there's a rock blocking this doorway into the castle here. We've got some more alien rocks, but we're being drawn over here by the placement of these pebbles that we're meant to jump over and this big bright light over here. So hopefully the player should come in and get the idea that they're meant to be going over here. Whoa! Okay, we weren't meant to see that jump. The character controller is not an exact science at the moment, but we're getting there. come over here. And we're meant to come up here. So this right here, what we're about to enter into, once we jump over this very suspiciously placed pile of boxes that's actually quite hard to jump onto. This area here is the final platforming challenge of this tutorial level, and is really meant to be a gauntlet that prepares the player for the journey ahead, this intergalactic journey that they're supposed to go on. We've got this sort of scaffolding on the outside of this abandoned castle that's going to lead us right up to the top. So we cross this rope bridge, and this is quite an intense platforming challenge. And I think my favourite part of this platforming challenge was the choice to not put a lamp on every single platform. So you get this quite dynamic and interesting play between light and shadow, where some of the platforms are very easy to see and very easy to judge the distance between, but others are sort of more bathed in dark, and as you can see just there, quite hard to judge. So this is quite the challenge ramping up, even though we're still just using the jump and the double jump, which are the base abilities for Kuma, and that double jump comes from his rocket-powered jetpack shoes, of course. We come up here, and here even more so, we've got platforms bathed in dark, so we're really playing with this light and dark motif here at the end. Come up here, and up here. Sorry for the click-clacking of my keyboard. And the final gauntlet up to the very top of this castle for Kuma's final picture. That was a really hard jump, big jump there. And here we're actually getting the dynamic light of this planet, which is actually just a cheekily placed spotlight. But it sort of really does look like moonlight shining down from this planet above, which we thought was a very nice touch. So here, with this long shadow being cast by the light from the planet, we stand on the edge here and we take our final photo, photo 4 of 4 for Kuma's first page in his travel guide. And this is basically the climax, the end of this first level here, but to end the level, the next warp gate that, or whatever we're calling them, essentially warp gates, that Kuma needs to go to for the next level is actually down this big hole at the back of this abandoned castle. So we'll jump in, and we'll say goodbye for this level, and we'll pass it off to Gus and Matt for World 2. Thanks for watching.
Hello, my name is Matthew Murray, and this is a prototype for the IP of Commander Kuma. So, in Commander Kuma, players will embark on an emotionally charged alien adventure alongside a brave young bear astronaut, Kuma, and you also have your loyal AI companion, Chip. Together, you will be exploring and documenting strange planets such as this one, known as the Firelands. Your equipment is a pair of booster shoes, which act as your double jump, and you'll be tasked with capturing pictures of wildlife and landmarks using your AI companion Chip, whilst trying to discover the cause of the emotional chaos in this world. So, the frozen lands have been plunged into a deep freeze, forcing all of the inhabitants to live very lonely lives separated from each other, and your job is going to be finding out what's causing this, and be taking some photos of landmarks and creatures along the way. So within the gameplay, you can see that the world has been created with children in mind, with a lot of ways to get back up after failing jumps, and the jumps not being too difficult, and with the booster shoes really providing a lot of air mobility and a way to readjust your landings. As we progress, one of the key themes that I keep trying to reiterate is that this is very much an alien planet with a lot of out of this world kind of elements. So the purple snow, the giant ice webs, the planets in the background, the starry sky, all of this is supposed to constantly reiterate of those themes. And my emotional theming is loneliness, so a lot of the world is supposed to represent this kind of feel, with the barren forest, obviously lots of snow, dark colours, lots of blues, and yeah, ultimately quite a separated environment. I try to reflect this in every aspect, even with the river breaking up the pieces of land here, and the river leading into this big icing, which is blocking all the towns of water and the watermill up here. So as we head towards the village, you'll see it's quite snowed in as we go, with the first house we come to be snowed in, so you can see this guy trying to get into his house, but obviously he can't access it, so just reiterating the themes of loneliness and these guys being separated from each other, and suffering with like the watermill being frozen because of the spider webs. Despite these unfair circumstances leading to this loneliness, a core principle of Commander Kuma's IP is that it's about fostering emotional growth. So we have this landmark photo being a moment of Chip scanning the vista, and then taking a photo of Kuma and the alien, sharing a tranquil moment together, yet still as individuals. Within the world's design, I wanted everything to be clear emotionally and feature narratively poignant imagery. So the frozen river being separated itself, spouting from the broken watermill of the village, leading down to the destroyed iceberg path to the fire and co half of the level you and the ice alien can see together. So kind of just this constant reminding of key landmarks in terms of player orientation, gameplay beats, as well as the environmental implicit storytelling, also with the more semi-explicit alien emoting towards these points. So yeah, we'll use these also as gameplay beats. As you can see here, we're going towards the windmill and the giant spider web is here, and you're gonna parkour over on these webs to get to one of the Kuma and Chip landmark spots. And you get a little insight to an area hidden behind the windmill, which the player can go here, such. And then this little path leads over to the frozen lake. I don't think most players will use this path considering the age range of the game, and this being kind of a difficult thing to work out and even do the jumps for. So I thought it'd be nice here just to keep the world open. And it's not like the aliens could use this anyway because they don't have the rocket boosts. So it kind of makes sense. So we go back onto the path with some stones here to kind of highlight the way up to this cave. And upon reaching the top, we will see one of these characters alertedly looking at this cave entrance being blocked. So this kind of just implies that there's something through this wall and you can go around, and the webs kind of lead the player around this anyway. Yeah, just with the cave being blocked, implying where the player to go, and just keep re-implying this idea of these people being separated from each other. So as we come around here, we're seeing another wildlife element, which is a snow beetle laying down these big snowballs that if you walk into them, you'll roll down the hill and have to climb out. Quite a friendly interaction, but obviously this is a kid's game, so we're just gonna have you getting crushed. Another landmark spot. And then we will head into the ice webbed up village. So as you can immediately see, there is these houses in comically large ice cubes, quite cartoony. And some of the aliens also frozen in their own homes, just to keep showing how bad the coldness here is in the frozen lands. A few characters around just to kind of emote towards where the player should go. We have this guy here trying to reach his friend, but obviously he can't because he's trapped by the snow beetle and the caves are blocked up. Just showing off the sliding a little bit. So, as we reach the base of the glacier towards the mountain, we will climb up, just using the environment on these dead trees. Another landmark spot. And upon reaching up here, we'll see some more spider webs and a large frozen lake. This is just a area with the slipping mechanic, so the jumps here are a little bit hard to do, but you also have to kind of use the speed from the low friction to make them. I playtested this quite a lot to try and make this hard, not too hard for any age group. So as you can see, it's quite easy going on how large the platforms are and the way around there, as we saw earlier. And then we are reaching our first puzzle. So this puzzle, just using the slipping mechanic, there's some large cubes ranging from the smallest to the largest, 5 of them. You have to arrange them in to make some stairs up here. Just a simple little puzzle, just kind of let the children kind of diegetically create their own path up the mountain. Because as you can see, you start at the bottom of the glacier and you kind of climb up through, and then you go over this lake, and then you're going to be going up through the mountain and stuff. So I kind of wanted this idea of the ascent constantly being used in my game. And I just thought this was a nice way to diegetically allow the player to do it themselves. Yeah, and now we're reaching the mouth of the mountain into our first interior cave section. I wanted the gameplay in the caves to be quite different, but also still using the mechanics that I've taught the player with Kishon Tonketsu. So this is just a diegetic little puzzle where you push these blocks in and then you jump over them, just using what we've just taught the player. Yeah, I had some lighting bugs in this area too, but it ended up kind of looking nice and kind of like the northern lights that I was going for, but it's a little bit too bright. As you can see, it's like the bloom and then it's the cave. And yeah, just climbing over some more webs. And yeah, reaching the end of that cave section. And out here we'll be returning to the cave entrance that we saw at the start of the game. This is just to let the player know where they're like ending up after the cave segments, as it was a little bit weird just to teleport to a random place. The indoors of the caves are fairly to scale of these, but there's a little bit of discrepancy between them. And now going into the final cave section, we have the world thermometer, which is being webbed up by the ice spiders, and this is the reason for why the world's warmth isn't working. So as the player, you kind of come up here and you're supposed to be pushing these blocks down onto the webs whilst the spiders try and shoot snowballs at you, but this is not a fully functional area due to time constraints, but hopefully you can still kind of understand the vision. The idea was that the spider will be turning FOV and shooting snowballs at the player, which, as you know, push the player down slightly, and whilst you're trying to push these things onto the webs. But yeah, obviously I just have one thing to signify that, and then we have another platforming segment, which is kind of how I'd want it in the final game. And you run around here to one of the final camera points, just using your double jump and a little bit of quick wit. And yeah, as you can see, we get one of the final landmarks points of spiders. And we will see an orange button which will turn on the thermostat after you get rid of all the webs. Yeah, so you just press that and you can be on your merry way. And the idea of that button will be to turn on the thermostat and the world will change, with the houses not being snowed in, the ice cubes unforming, and everyone being allowed to access each other again, and throwing a big party is kind of the... And now, after saving the day, you reach the peak of the mountain, kind of as like a victory lap, and you get an overview of everything that you've done. We have another little climb up here, as it kind of shows Fire Co, and if you've not done that section of the level already, kind of just hinting it towards the other section. But yeah, the idea was after you press the land, everything in this planet will now be heated up a bit and return to its normal values, as opposed to all the ice and stuff, but just due to time constraints that's not the case. And here is the final landmark spot, right at the peak of the mountain. You get a little overview of everything. And then you have the big slide down the mountain, which in a lot of my drafts and sketches, this area was supposed to be much larger in scope and be its own little like racetrack with obstacles and stuff, but due to the slide mechanic bugging out, I had to just change my my time constraints and just focus on other assets instead. Yeah, kind of just showing off how the area was kind of supposed to be in terms of pacing and the way it looked. But yeah, obviously the slide function not working the way I wanted it to, so the ramp into the village not doing anything. But yeah, just showing off what the kind of intention was for it. And yeah, now we will leave via the iceberg. I'll run down these rivers in the snow forest. And yeah, this path is supposed to represent about how the frozen lands are so disconnected with the fire location. So the only way to even access this place is now via these broken iceberg shards, because the valley that you entered from is one way and completely snowed in now. And we also see this another landmark element just on the way out. There's just this big ice whale, which the idea was this would come up when you leave, and it would kind of be like a little thank you message or something, kind of something cutesy for emotional growth. Maybe like a family of whales or something like that. I'm not too sure. Kind of another underutilized aspect, but still gets the idea across for the prototype. We come out on top of this iceberg. We get to have a little look at everything we've done in this world, just as a little goodbye to what you've done with Kuma. And you can go back to the start of the world, and you get the bridge over to Fire & Co, which in this video is not complete, but Gus's entry will feature that. So just as a footnote here. Yeah, and thank you all so much for listening. Appreciate it. Thank you. I will now just be covering my overall level design. So as you can see, the world is pretty much split up into a main open region, which I kept open just to make it clear to children to where to go, with key landmarks in pretty much every corner of the map, just so no matter which way you go, you don't end up getting lost ever. I kept it like this because of ages 6 and plus, so yeah, I didn't want the world to be too convoluted. So following around the natural path, just kind of showing off the contextually relevant points of the map. Frozen houses in the frozen spiderweb. The block cave. A detail that doesn't really show up is that this area has snow. I'd made a Niagara effect system for this, but you can't really see it in the rendering at all. So I apologize. But yeah, the mountain and the lake was supposed to have snow to kind of signify that you're getting higher up, and just reiterating that theme of the ascent. I think in terms of following the IP, I've been very successful here, as the Frozen Lands are quite a successful alien, exotic, fun to explore wilderness, but still being emotionally charged with the motif of loneliness, and as well as being a cold, barren, lonely alien environment, but still being fun to explore as a child, which is the age group intended for. I think the Frozen Lands hits the nail kind of on the head for this. Mechanically speaking, this project isn't exactly where I'd want it to be, but due to workflow issues and group stuff, it happens. But as far as a block out with its gameplay sections being planned, I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, obviously due to some time restrictions and stuff, some areas are unfinished, like this one for example, but I think the idea comes across, and in terms of making it artistically look nicer, isn't that complex, and making it mechanically work isn't too crazy either, considering the scope. So yeah, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Gus. I am the second half to World 2. You must have just seen Matt's video on the first half, which is that of the Icelands. Really cool spot, nice look to everything, nice design. I'm going to be covering the median, which is the sort of connection between the Icelands to my personal section of this level, the Firelands. This is where I put most of my work into, contrast to how Matt put most of his work into the Icelands. So we'll begin from right here, which is the middle spawn, which is where Kuma will actually be teleported into. Let's begin. Also, you'll be listening here a song that I made for the soundtrack. Nothing crazy. So, we are not subjected to a linear pathway. We actually have multiple pathways that we can take from the get-go. We want the Commander Kuma game to feature expansive, sort of like, open areas where the player can jump around and leap and sprint. We don't want to be, restrictive whatsoever with the design of the game. That building over there, I'm just going to quickly talk about it, is the precursor ruin. So, on a prior version idea that we had, once you completed both missions in the Firelands and Icelands, if you put the relics that they gave you into those two red and looks yellow but blue, receptacles, you would open a door that would lead you into the precursor ruins, which would be the way that both sort of like mechanics from these two levels comes together. And once there, you find a relic, which then you take a picture of, and that's your final picture for the level. Sadly, we couldn't get it to work in time, so that's that. But we'll begin now with the Firelands level. So the middle lands is supposed to be sort of like neutral looking compared to the other two. There is snow here, of course. I wanted to make snow for the particle effects, which you will see a lot of in these upcoming sections of the Firelands. Here's the gate to the Firelands, which once we come in, we're greeted by ships, buildings, factories, and a biodome that are all showing the name Fira & Co. This is the research and geological team that have taken hold of the Firelands and are conducting surveys and experiments throughout the lands for their own purposes. We don't really know what those are so far, but we just know that they have a pretty big hold of the place. So we go past these dead trees here, and into the first photo op of the level, which is the volcano erupting irrevocably. So let's go here. The camera zooms out just like that. We get a little pan view of the volcano, zooms up the top, and you see the inside of it and how leaky it is. This here is a tether point, which works as a checkpoint system. So before Commander Kuma will fall, say like into the lava or a dangerous surface, he will be pulled back immediately by the tether. This is a way to give the player risk, but no immediate danger, if that makes sense. We don't want the player to be scared about what they're going through in this game. So we couldn't go from the top, so we had to go down. This path is obviously not meant to be for this, but with the features of the exosuit, we're able to use the booster paths, which though not modeled here, we can use them to traverse the environment and get ourselves up to the surface. And there we go. So okay, here we have what seems to be a fire escape, which the sort of stair system has fallen. This place seems in a little bit of disrepair, to be honest, but that is the whole point of the Firelands. Let's see what the biodome has to offer. So this is sort of like the NPC hub, where the NPCs will all like hang out and talk to each other. Now, one thing to note is that you cannot talk to anyone in this game, so they are just here standing around and minding their own business. This here is the fire core, which sort of shows the state of the world, meaning that if the fire core is in bursting flames, it means that the volcano will also be. But that being said, this specific case, apparently it's been on fire for a very, very long time, so it's pretty abnormal. Now, there's no one else that's like inside of the compound to sort of like deactivate this, so the only person that's equipped with this job is of course Commander Kuma himself. So now we're gonna make our way into the compound and see if we can fix the problem. Man, the soundtrack is so boppy. Sorry. Alright, now going into the volcano, or not the volcano, sorry, but the mountain. We have our first gameplay beat proper, which is just hopping around these rocks of lava. Or, sorry, rocks that are, surfaced around lava. And also, the second photo op of this level, which is going to be a photograph of the lava waterfalls next to the Fire and Co. research stations. Just like this. There you go. Right. So, we're not going to keep making our way through here. This next bit, we cannot finish in time. Matt probably talked about it in his video, I'm pretty sure, which has to do with the moving rocks or the moving, the moving actors. These are at a pretty steep angle. Sadly, though, the physics system did not work, and we basically chose to scrap it. But it's still here to show that, in the future, it could operate and work well, especially with the design of the Firelands, which I must say is all very vertical compared to how, horizontal the Icelands were. Also, we have our third checkpoint there. Here's our fourth one. And the next gameplay beat is this puzzle. Now, I also cannot get this to work properly. I would get it to shake, but once you step on them, they wouldn't get destroyed or anything. So sadly, I couldn't get that to work. But what we do have is color coding, so we know which rocks to stand on and which ones to not. So the ideal prototype would have been that the red rocks shake, meaning that if the player stands on them, they will be dropped into the lava immediately. Of course, we have a green path here, so we're just gonna take this path, which will probably not get us synced into the lava, I'm pretty sure. Alright, cool. Yeah, we did it. So, more research stations from Fire & Co., some unknown mineral to us, strung along the walls. And here is the first massive base of Fire & Co. inside of the mountains. These are, of course, air vents here, as you can probably tell from the particle effects that are flowing from the particle system, showing the airflow going up, of course. these air vents are obviously needed here because of how cold it gets, or how hot it gets, sorry, in the Firelands. So we're gonna use the advantage of these and have them lead us up to the top, just like that. And here we are. So this glass window seems to have flipped downwards, but it's not completely fallen off, so we've used it to get ourselves inside of the proper Fire and Co compound, which, as you can also tell, has been abandoned. We are the only ones here now. Here's the third photo opportunity, which is the Fire and Co planet. Now, yeah, this isn't the only planet of Fire and Co in terms of control. They're actually a, intergalactic enterprise, meaning that they have multiple different operations going in different places of the galaxy. This and the planet over there being two of them. Okay, there's the third photo. Beautiful, great. Now, we're gonna go up these stairs here, which are gonna take us up to the second floor. And we're gonna use this now to proceed further. Okay, here we go. There's the next checkpoint right there, next tether. And now we're gonna go up this massive slope here. Alright. Cool. So this section is meant to combine sort of like all the gameplay that we've seen thus far in the Firelands. So, static rocks that don't move, but also rocks that do move. So these are meant to parallel the rocks from below that were supposed to go downwards, down the stream of lava. These ones were actually meant to move left and right. And, given how similar that is to the other issue, we could not get that fixed either. So we're just gonna hop over them like this. All right. Also notice that we have, a bunch of just like steam effects everywhere. I think one of our main points of development was to showcase the vibe and sort of the aesthetic, the thematic look of what Commander Kuma can be, except the model itself, of course. So we have another system of air vents, which are similar, of course, to the ones that we've just seen below. And they're pointed towards that way, implying that if we use this, we're going to actually be launched past this lake of lava to the surface over there. Let's try it out. And oh my god, great. There we go. Alright, so here is the second bit of the Fire & Co. research station. And there's a massive red button here. So this window will also show us this view of the volcano still erupting. So what happens here is you stand on this button, and it actually will push down, and it's going to deactivate the eruption. The reason why the eruption was happening was because there was a drill being drilled into it for too long, and these loonies forgot to disable it. So that explains that bit. So yeah, we go past these like massive terminals. Of course, Commander Kuma is very small compared to the firemen, which makes sense. Alright. Oh, here's the final photo op of the Firelands next to what seems to be goggles to look further into the Iceland itself, which the last photo is actually that of the Icelands. Right there. Great. Okay, now we're gonna make our way down the fire escape that we saw earlier, which is pretty much collapsed, but still standing by these looking steel beams, sort of. I don't know if it's really steel. Again, it's an alien planet. So now we're gonna drop down here, just like that. And that's pretty much it. I made a shortcut system here, where instead of having to go down the caverns and go back through the lake, you just go this way, where you'll see this bridge, which all we have to do here is now just jump across. And that's it. And now we just go back to the median, and we're done. So yeah, that is the Firelands level as a whole. Honestly, this level was really fun to make. Just making the environment of the Firelands with the fire everywhere, these boats with their, sails, the particle effects of the cascading fire, and the molten rock, I believe. And yeah, I mean, of course, this is to further, reinforce the story thematic of this world, which is Commander Kuma combating his anger and his sadness both. We wanted to do these two emotions because they're pretty closely related to a feeling of negativity. One of them is more silent than the other, but still negativity. And yeah, by Kuma helping these two civilizations, he will hopefully feel better about himself, making him not feel these ways anymore, and move on further to what next emotional trouble he has to deal with. So yeah, that's the Commander Kuma prototype for World 2. Thank you for watching. This should be the final video of the series. So yeah, hope that you've enjoyed Team Alpha's showcase of this project. And for further questions or just feedback, let me know through the comment section of this video or through personal messaging if you have me there. So yeah, thank you for everything, and have a good rest of your day, night, morning, evening, afternoon, or any of those in between. Okay, bye bye.